me start by saying that Orgalim very much welcomes the Sustainable Products Initiative. We think that our industry does have some credit for delivering on the current Ecodesign directive and the energy savings there. And we believe that we can deliver on the next steps too. Resource efficiency is high on our agenda. And we believe that we can deliver on the technology, not only for our own industry, but also for other industries to really make a difference on the green agenda. If you go to the next slide, we believe that the Sustainable Products Initiative is actually an opportunity for a win-win, because both the environment and the economy can win here. And we believe that producing sustainable products is a business opportunity for us, and it's what we want to do. I was very happy to hear Mrs. Zanetti mention harmonized requirements and preserving the internal market, because we really believe that that is the key foundation for a more circular economy. In the working group, we keep each other informed about what happens in the different countries, and I'm happy to report that most countries prioritize circular economy very highly. But I can also hear that many countries, the policymakers are quite tempted to make national rules, and that is really not the way to go. We in Orgalim, the Orgalim industry is very global, and the more sets of regulations we meet, the higher the burden is for us. So really, the functioning of the single market is very important to us. If you go to the next slide, looking at what a legislative framework should look like for our industry to lead the way for sustainable products. Well, when we've gone through the questionnaire, there's no question that some of these new requirements will have costs. It will cost to change supply chain. It has cost to perhaps switch out one material for another or change the design of a product. So we believe that it's the basis of the requirements should be that they deliver environmental gains at the same level as, at least at the same level as the costs. They must deliver on the environmental gains, so the costs are worth it. And in that case, in looking at our industry, we can conclude that one size does not fit all with these requirements. And a lot of the discussions we had in the working group were on, well, the answers were, well, that really depends on what kind of product we're talking about, or that depends on if it's business to business or business to consumers. So really, there's a big difference on how the requirements will work for an industry producing machinery to other companies, or an industry producing sweaters to sell on the high street. Therefore, we ask for requirements set sector by sector and product by product. If you continue to the next slide, the digital product passport is definitely a key instrument here. And we see a great potential in this passport. We see the potential to track materials and have better market surveillance, and also all the environmental, the reuse, the repair, the recycling. Those are great potentials. And even more perhaps that we have hopes that this way of gathering information can maybe make it even easier for companies. That will really add value for us. But we also have some worries. We worry, how will we deliver all this information? How will we find it? And how will we make sure that our confidential information remains confidential? If you go to the next slide, how can a passport add value for us? Well, by being consistent with existing requirements and only asking companies to enter the data once. Don't add another layer. Also, by respecting that some information only authorities should be able to access. Protect our confidential information. But also perhaps making clear the responsibilities of all the actors in the value chain. And most of all, please, by inviting industry to be part of the development of the passport. And I heard our guest speakers saying that they were going to do that. And I'm very happy to hear it, because we really want to be part of it and help identify what data, what information is the most relevant. Next slide, please. Looking at the questions in the questionnaire on the content of the digital passport, some of the information we are very happy to deliver, of course, on safe use and recycling, etc. But if you continue to the next slide, please, we also have some worries, because to put it a little bluntly, we are afraid that we will be asked to make public our trade secrets, such as our supply chains, such as the substances of products, such as technical drawings. We are afraid that competitors will take that information, even competitors outside of the EU, and run with it. So that's a very important issue for us to be assured that our confidential information will be protected. So in conclusion, I would say that the passport has a lot of potential, and we would like to be part of developing it. Next slide, please. On circular business models, I'll just say that we very much support, especially the product service systems, which we see as a way of making business out of making sustainable products. And it really works. And I can understand how policymakers can be tempted to try to legislate on this, but we will caution against that. We believe that policymakers should not be making decisions on business models. Companies do that better on their own. Policymakers should instead try to concentrate on keeping the playing field as level as possible. And if we go to the next slide, the Ecodesign directive is a good example of a way of legislating that keeps the playing field level, meaning that it sets the same standards, sets the same requirements for products, whether they are produced inside or outside of the EU. And we very much support this instrument. We support it because it has a scientific approach, because it has a life cycle approach, and it uses harmonized standards and looks at things product by product. And we very much hope that the continued work and also the widening of the Ecodesign that will keep to the methods of the current Ecodesign directive, and make sure that the products now covered by the Ecodesign directive will not be put back of the line because new products are being put into the directive. And finally, I will just mention one of the incentives that we really support, namely green public procurement. I was happy to hear the Commission mention that as well, and of course we've seen it in the CEOP, etc. We believe that can really make a difference for our members, and our members will definitely like to deliver on green public procurement in the years to come.